Thanks for joining for our presentation. Today we're going to be talking about building a timesheet system in SharePoint with no custom code. A bold promise, but I hope to show you that it is indeed possible. So we'll go ahead and get into our presentation. Before I do that, I just want to give a little bit of background and also some ground rules. My name is Will Cooper. I'm a SharePoint developer and consultant, and I do quite a lot with Infowise Ultimate Forms. My background is in doing Microsoft development. I've done some .NET web programming and web development, and done lots of different things with Microsoft products. To tell you just briefly about Infowise, we are a form solution, and that's our focus. We really love to make things easy. You'll hear me say that word a lot today. And we really have fun working with and helping our customers, and we like to look for ways to improve our product. Ultimate Forms is a form solution with tools that deploy completely within the SharePoint user interface. It is a comprehensive tool set, really everything's there for you to be able to build solutions using these tools. I do want to let you guys know that we'll have a drawing for a nice shirt like you see in the picture there with the embroidered logo on it. So I hope you'll stick around to the end because one of you guys is going to get a really cool shirt. I do want to let you know that we are wanting your questions, and please use the chat interface in the GoToWebinar meeting to enter those questions. I am recording our session, and I will load this to YouTube later, so you have a chance to play this back or look at this later if you want to. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so here's kind of the way I think about building solutions in SharePoint. I'm always looking for, the easy path. Of course, I want to accommodate for all the important requirements. But I feel that sometimes when we're doing things in SharePoint, we end up really kind of having to do a mix of things. And so this is kind of my idea of what it's like building solutions in SharePoint, using some of the tools that I'm going to show you versus what you would otherwise have to do, with SharePoint out of the box or with InfoPath or some other approach. So we do want to make things easy. So I put this picture up just to show you how I think of it. Kind of this is, to me, this tool that makes things easy. I almost think of it as this secret tool. Sometimes when I'm working with some customers that maybe don't know about Infowise, I don't think they realize just how easy it is for me to set things up. And I really do truly feel that way. It's efficient and fast to set things up. These tools work in Office 365 and on-premise SharePoint. So regardless of your SharePoint environment, you can use everything that I'm going to show you in the solution that we're going to be looking at today. So why would you build your own timesheets tool? I think all of us know that there are web-based time sheet systems out there, and I'm sure some of those work pretty nice. But those are boxed solutions. They're packaged solutions with preconceived ideas of what you guys want to do with your timesheets. And that can work, but there's some advantages to doing this yourself. First of all, it's really easy to do this with the Infowise tools. As I mentioned to you, I don't have to do any custom code to set this up. Because it's easy to do that, there's really no reason not to just go ahead and create this yourself. You can incorporate whatever your own custom requirements are. Because we're building our own solution, it's going to be a lot more flexible and much more adaptable to changes that might come down the road. I'm sure all of us can appreciate that there's always some unique challenges, requirements, which are specific to your own organization. And this is a good first project for you. If this is a platform that you're curious about, it's good to get some momentum. So this is a perfect type of project to get out of the gate and begin to get familiar with these tools. All right, so what do we want in a timesheet system? We're going to try to keep things as clean and simple as we can. We really want to focus on core requirements. So we're going to use two SharePoint lists we'll have a timesheets list and a time entries list. Naturally, you want to make time entries for each timesheet. That's it. We just need those two lists. We'd like to have an ID for each of those timesheets, and we want the timesheets to automatically be generated for us. Normally in SharePoint and lists, the user just manually adds records. We're trying to make this process as easy as possible, and we know that there should be a timesheet for each worker per week, so we'll have our system auto-generate that for us. Even if somebody's off that week, we still would like to keep a record. We need that interface to be simple. I've never in my life encountered somebody who likes tracking time. It's kind of drudge work and a pain and something we put off until the end of the week, and nobody likes that. So inherently we know we have a challenge, and we need to be sure that whatever solution that we're going to implement is very easy to use, and we're going to show how you can do that. We'd like to have some email reminders that go out depending on things happening, especially, as I mentioned, at the end of the week. We've got to get those timesheets in, because by the time we get into the next week, it's hard to remember what was going on, so we're going to make sure that gets in on Friday. We'd like to be able to do some reporting out of this, and especially be able to do some printouts. So some PDF output related to this tool would be really nice if there's an easy way to do it. Indicators would be great to show status on those timesheets, whether they've been turned in, how many hours have been logged, that type of thing. We want some visual indicators in this tool. And then also we'd like to do some reporting on hours based on weeks and months. So those are some of the key requirements as far as what we want to build in this kind of solution. So very simple concept. You have a parent list, you have timesheets, and then for each timesheet, of course, a worker will make multiple entries to make a log of what they've done for that particular week. All right, so here's the fields, our core fields that we need to incorporate in this type of system. So we want an ID for tracking, just as a reference point. Naturally, the name of the person whose timesheet that is, start and end date. We're going to have a system that starts on Sunday, ends on Saturday. We'll need to put in our time entries. We need to have a many-to-one relationship there. We'll track the submitted date and then the status. Is it still being worked on, or did it actually get turned in? Was it submitted? And then for the time entries, we just need to know, in this example, we're showing this as for a consulting business that's working with other customers. So we're going to track who the customer is, the date of that entry, how many hours for that, and a short description. The consultant, we want that to auto-populate so the user doesn't have to do anything. That's just going to fill in automatically. And then we'll have a checkbox to indicate whether this is for billable time. All right, so here's kind of our first look at what this is going to look like. This is what we're shooting for. We want a really simple, easy concept. So when I open up the timesheet form, who's it for? It's for me. And then it just shows me the start and end date. Those are going to be filled in for me automatically. I don't even have to do that. And then there's my time entries. So I just click that big new item button, add my entries, and I can just do this kind of thing in seconds. That's what we need to keep it real simple and real clean. And then at the bottom of the form, we have a submit button to be able to turn in our timesheet at the end of the week. Very simple concept. Okay. In SharePoint, the example I'm showing you, I did it all in Office 365. So naturally you can do that with the Infowise Ultimate Forms app. We'll tell you more about how you can start trying that out. So this is all in SharePoint, and I can't tell you how important that is. I think many of us have wrestled with SharePoint Designer, which won't be updated from its 2013 version ever. Or InfoPath, which also will not be updated. These are external tools. We have to get out of SharePoint and go through a long series of steps, and oftentimes a headache to get what we want. With these tools, I do it all right in context, right where I am. I see immediate updates, and it just makes a lot more sense. So I go to the List tab, and in the ribbon toolbar, you'll see these colored puzzle pieces. And that takes me to the Infowise Design Hub. And that's it. This is my jump off point. All the things that I need to build this timesheet system are right here. And it's not hard to find. It's broken out by different types of settings. And as I go through this, I'll tell you what those are. All right, one thing I said is we want the user to auto-populate. We're trying to save time, we're trying to make it clean and simple, and so if I go to enter time, I don't want to keep putting Will Cooper over and over again. Obviously it's me, so we need the system to fill that in for me. I have to do 3 steps one time in the configuration to make this happen and never touch it again. All I do is pick the column, which is consultant, and I use this function, current user, add that rule, save, that's it, I'm done. When I go to that form, every single time any user goes into a timesheet or time entries, it will auto-populate their name. Now what's cool is for some reason if you're needing to update for somebody else, you can override that, but we're trying to save work and save clicks. Okay. I mentioned to you we'd like our system to generate the timesheets. Why would I want my users to have to do that if I know I need a timesheet for every week? So with Infowise, I'm going to do an action. Normally I would have had to do this in SharePoint Designer with a workflow, and that would have been a headache for me. So I just go in and make an action, and I work my way through 4 tabs. Same process every time. And what I'm going to do is select the action Create List item, and give it a description, and I can set it to run on a timer. So what I've said is every Sunday morning at 5 a.m. create a timesheet for each of our users. And then we can set the fields for this. So I'm going to do this for each of my workers. Here's the one for me. And I'm going to say that the start date will be today. That's another function you can use. And then the end date will be today plus 6. So that automatically makes my new timesheet with correct dates. Okay, so when I come in here on Monday morning, I will see my new timesheet automatically. I didn't have to do anything. It's already there sitting, waiting for me. All right, I want an ID for my timesheets. Okay, well that'd be cool. That's better than a SharePoint ID is just an integer, and that doesn't really tell us anything exciting. We want something specific to our system. So I just set up a SharePoint text field. I just called it TSID for timesheet ID, and I just put in a pattern, whatever I want. I just put in TS for timesheet dot, and then there's a numerator function, and that just puts in a variable that will auto increment. So it just uses an integer and rolls it up and gives me a new number each time. All right, next thing, you're probably wondering about how do you set up this many-to-one relationship? How did I do that in the form? Okay, in Infowise, you have a content type, which is the Infowise associated item content type, and that's how you're able to create that. So what you do is set up the time entries to use that content type. And then when I go into the timesheets list, I can simply select that time entries list, and this makes a field in my parent form, which lets me do that many-to-one relationship. Really fast and easy to set up. And that's how you end up with this light blue box where I can have 4 entries or 40 entries, whatever I need for that timesheet. So right there in the interface. So next one is the indicator. I mentioned to you, we want to have some indicators on our dashboard. So one thing that's nice is we'd like to see a bar filling up, and even we can have it changing color according to how full it is. So maybe there's a goal, maybe for our consultants, we want them to have at least 70% billable time. We can have a visual indication of that. So I just go through these settings, and I map it to a numeric field. I have a field already in here for total hours, and I give it a start and end value, which would be 0 hours or 40 hours for full week. And then you end up with this cool looking utilization bar, which fills up automatically as those time entries go in. So this is going to look so much better than plain text or numbers. Okay, the form layout. We can do a tabbed form layout. You can break it into sections. That's really easy to do. To set that up, I can come in and create tabs, and then all I do is just map the fields to the tabs. So that's what I've done in this system. We don't have a lot of fields, so I just stuck with the single tab in this interface. All right, so what happens? We get to the end of the week and everybody's turned in their timesheets right on time, no problems, and it's perfect. No, that will never happen. I know from experience. People get busy, we get in meetings, we get distracted, or we just simply procrastinate, put it off, or forget about it. You need a system that will be a squeaky wheel and nag people and make sure that those timesheets get in. So email reminders would be a very important part of the system. So what are we going to do? We can do another timer-based action. This one's going to be send an email. And what we're going to do is have it send Friday at 4 p.m. If the worker has not turned in their timesheet. And it's so easy for me to set this up. I just put in that timer base, set the time, and I come up with some email. Hey, turn in your timesheet. It's not in. Now, I needed to check something here because I am only sending this if they didn't turn it in. So we need to do a check. We have a field in here called submitted. And so it's only going to do that when it's no. So nobody likes to get nagged about something, so that's going to trigger it. And in fact, we can keep going with that. We can send 2 or 3 reminders. We can basically keep those reminders coming to do that. That's a whole lot better than as a manager having to pick up the phone or email and say, hey, Will, you didn't turn in your timesheet. Can you please get that in? Nobody wants to do that. You know, our system's going to take care of that for us. All right, another thing we mentioned, we want to be able to do some output. So I mentioned this would be for a consulting group, and we want to do reports for different customers. And so with Infowise, I have a print items action, and I can generate a PDF. And I'm going to have this happen as a result of clicking on a button, which I'm creating in the user interface. So we have this option with those actions for manual execution. I can pick an icon that's going to show up, and it's going to be a user-facing button. And this is going to generate the PDF, in this case, for Infowise. So I configure these settings. It's going to dump the PDF into a local document library for me. And this is what it looks like. Really cool. You simply need to go to the list, and after you select the item, there's a Run Actions option in the ribbon toolbar. And then here's buttons. So this is kind of a full interface. I've configured report output options for all of these different customers. So I just click on the button. It gives me a nice success confirmation, and voila, there it is. We've got a PDF. It just sends it right over to the library, and I can just open it from there. There we go. There's PDF output. Really cool. So we're actually tapping into some other functionality now. We're going beyond just a simple timesheet system. All right, how do I create that? Probably it's a headache. No, it's not. It's really simple. You just go under the print settings. This is a list style of output. All I need to do is set it to use the All Items view, and it'll show me the fields that are going to be in that output. And I just need to do a standard header and footer. That could be whatever I want. You see there's a visual editor tool there, and I can do some formatting. I can really polish this, put my logo in, all that kind of cool stuff, because we want to be professional and have nice output for our customers. Okay, what's another thing we'd like to do? What if your worker comes around 2 weeks later and they're messing around with the timesheets, they're changing their entries, and they're saying, oh, I actually worked 10 hours when I said 5. Well, they probably shouldn't be doing that, or at the very, very minimum, you probably like to know if somebody's doing time entries. It could be a reason for that. We don't want to block it, but we would like to know about it. So we want to have an email go out if somebody changes that. All right, so with Infowise, I can do an email role, and it's just so easy for me to set this up. All I have to do is go in here, and we'll make this go to me and whoever made the change. And what we're checking for is the the current date, and we're checking to see if it's more than 7 days after this was created. Okay, and then we just pick the email template, and it'll say an old time entry was modified, which may be fine, but if somebody's going in there changing much time entries, we'd like to know about that. So we just put in the content. It's going to insert the list data. So I create this template, and then we're going to get emails when that happens. Okay, so also I said we want to do reporting. Once you've got the data, from this point, you're home free. It's downhill. Because I can dice and splice that data however I want. I can make list views on the time entries or the timesheets however I want. So here's an example just showing a summary view by customers. It's giving me totals, breakdown by month, whatever you want to do. Here's reporting by worker, so I can go through and see here's all the ones for me. I can kind of go through. So once we've got all the data in there, there's all kinds of opportunities for that. Here's a chart showing a roll-up on hours. Definitely visualizing data is important. Infowise provides charting capability as well. Another option there, also our technology partner Collabion has some excellent charting capabilities. So that's an aspect of your solution that you should consider. Okay, so I'm going to get into the interface, but before I forget, I just want to mention something to you guys real quick. We've got a couple of shows coming up, and we love to talk to customers, and we also like to talk to people who are thinking about this. So I want to make sure you're aware, in case you're in the area and you're going to be at these shows or consider going to shows. We're going to be at SP TechCon in November 12th through 15th up in Washington, D.C., and then shortly thereafter at SharePoint Fest in Chicago, December 5th through 8th. So if you're going to be there, please come and chat with us, or maybe you might consider attending those conferences. And if for some reason you miss out on those, we'll also be at shows next year, but we'd love to talk to you face-to-face. All right, let's go in and let's take a look at the interface. I've kind of showed you some slides, so this would be a good time to do that. All right, so this isn't just a proof of concept thing that I made. This is actually a living, breathing, working timesheet solution that I've been using with some colleagues over the last year, and I just want to show you what it looks like. All right, so I just click Edit on the form. As I mentioned, Consultant auto-populates. What do I have to do to submit? I have to check a box real hard. No, not hard at all. Really simple. They just hit Submit, Save, and when you do that, it will change the status over. I have a in progress or submitted. So here I am for this week. I've been doing reasonable amount. I'm up to about 25 hours. Notice I have a click for details for the time entry. Here's another cool thing. I don't even have to go on the form to look at those time entries. If I click on that, it'll make a little call and it accordions out, and I can just drill down, and here's what I've been up to this week. So we have a nice interactive interface. If I hover over the bar, it gives me a number telling me the percentage of the bar that's filled up. And then if I want to make new entries, I just click New Item, and we said it's got to be easy, right? I've got a drop down. I don't even have to key it in. For a customer, I can just pick my customer, date, automatically to the same day. Again, we're just, all these little steps add up. We're trying to make it so easy for everybody to enter this information. And I didn't write any code at all to build this solution anywhere, I promise you. So I just put in my hours and short description, and boom. It just shows up, refreshes the form automatically. There it is. And I can update those. There you go. So once I've got that, I can just save. And that's really all that there is to it. That progress bar will automatically update for me. Boom, it just filled up some. All right, so how was I doing the configuration? Where do I go to get to that? So I mentioned there's two lists. So here's my timesheets list. And I go to the ribbon toolbar and click on List. Okay, so that's your key, the little color puzzle piece. It's really easy to find. And when I click on that, this takes me to the Infowise Design Hub. That's where everything is. It's where I jump off to do all these different settings. So I can just scroll through here. What's awesome is right here in context, I've got help. In context help is important. So I can see some information. for any reason I had a problem, I can just click a button to do a support ticket. And if I go through here, I'll show you one of my favorites, color choice field. I use this field more than anything with Infowise. Color choice field lets you take a standard SharePoint field and assign icons to it, and it just makes things look great. With that field, you can pick from any of 250 icons. This is great for status indicators and that type of thing, and really fast and easy to set up. In general, I use that in place of any choice field in SharePoint because everybody likes an icon more than just plain text. The actions I showed you, all that logic shows in a chain on this screen. So I've got a lot of things going here, and that's because this is a mature system that I've been refining over the course of the last year. But everything's tied down to, just edit your action and work through the same 4 tabs. So it's easy every time. Simple concepts. All right, so those are kind of the key steps on that. I do want to kind of jump over and talk to you a little bit about, how you set that up. Okay, or basically try to work with these. So what are you going to do if you want to try this out? So if you go into our main dashboard, you'll see an orange button right on the side. Not hard to find, right? If you click on the button and then just pick whether you're on-premise or Office 365. If you are doing Office 365, you just download that file. When you click on the link, it downloads immediately. No hassles or anything. And then once you've done that, you just walk through it. It's a step-by-step installation. You can do it in a few minutes. Really simple. For on-premise, we just need to collect your information. We'll get you set up, send you a download, and make sure you're set for your 30-day trial. One thing that is awesome with the trial, the functionality is not limited at all. You have access to all the tools, so you really have the opportunity to try everything out that you want to, and that's so important. So I know when I'm starting out with tools, it can be intimidating, especially with something that has so many different features. And we really have tried hard to make sure that that's not the case for people using Infowise. For one thing, if you go into our website, we have lots of short tutorials that are specific to each of the different features and functionality you can use. So lots of videos and step-by-step examples to show you what to do. For our customers, we really emphasize training. We think that's a good path to success. And in fact, we really believe it's so important that for all of our customers, we do provide inclusive to your product purchase our Kickstart training. So that's a 2-hour interactive training where we go through and show you building an example. In that case, building a help desk system. Then we have other training options past that, which we would hope you'll consider. So that's a good thing to look at. We do webinars each month, of course, and if you liked this presentation and you want to see some other examples, there's more than 30 examples of different types of solutions and topics that we talk about in the webinars. And then on our blog, we keep up with topics there as well. All right, so let's pause for a second. I'm really hope that you guys were able to stay on because now we get to do something fun. So in the chat interface, what I want you to do, and only put in one time, don't spam the chat, give me a number 1 to 100, and that way I can give a free t-shirt out to one of our attendees. So just go ahead and enter a number 1 to 100 in there, and I'll pick out a winner. All right, we're going to give you just a little bit more, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner. So keep going. All right, I've got a winner. Thanks, guys. So Jack Chabowski, hopefully I said your name okay. I would like you to send me an email, and you've got a new Infowise shirt coming your way. So my email, if anybody has any questions, and Jack, send me an email so I can get you your shirt. It's willc@infowisesolutions.com. That's WILLC c@infowisesolutions.com. Love to answer any questions you have. If you have general questions about our product, you'd want to send those to sales@infowisesolutions.com. And that is it for most of my presentation. I'm going to look in the chat. I'm going to try to answer some questions on that, and hopefully we can address that. If for some reason we don't get to your question, I hope that you will contact us. We really would like to talk to you, and that's it. So thank you very much. Let's see what we got in our questions. Okay, somebody wants to do a mileage tracking. Okay, that'd be very similar, and I think that would fit well. So you want to do calculations on distance and that type of thing. Absolutely, our solution could do that. In fact, that sounds like a really fun project to me. It's a nice bite-sized application. So the way that you would probably want to build a solution like that, naturally one thing you're going to use is SharePoint calculated fields. But in terms of sort of auto calculating distance and things like that, we would need to take advantage of possibly linking up and using some kind of API. One thing that's really cool is you can do database connectivity, or I can hook into things like Azure Logic Apps. So I am completely confident that you could build that type of solution. I think this user mentioned the Google Distance Matrix API. Certainly there's a way to do it. Now it is possible in that type of solution you may have to do something a little bit more technical, but I'm 100% confident you could build a great mileage tracking system in SharePoint. It would fit well with what we looked at today. Let's see. Okay, the formatting on name. So for an on-premise tenant, depending on how your SharePoint environment is set up, it shows in a particular way. If you wanted to reformat the name or show it differently, there's ways to track into those user properties. So sure, there's certainly a way to do that. I don't think that'd be too difficult. Worst case scenario, you could do a little bit of scripting, or you could even do something like pass that field into another one, and with the actions functions, we can translate that. So I don't think that'd be much problem at all. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. I hope this was beneficial. I hope it gave you some ideas, and I hope it made you curious about the Infowise tools. They really are awesome. I love to use it, and sometimes I feel like it's a secret. I don't want it to be a secret, but I really feel passionately this is a tool set that is so beneficial, and I hope that there can be more of you guys using it in the near future. So hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks.